Hi, guys. This is attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III with Disability Resolution PA. What we're going to be doing is taking a moment to go ahead and get everything set up and ready to roll. Looks like we have our first phone call in. Let me check it out. Hi, this is attorney Walter Hnot. How can I help you? Okay, gotcha. That was just somebody calling about something else. So, all right, what we're going to be doing is getting things set up, getting everybody rolling together. I do have Shadow today. He will be our sleeping dog. It is super duper bad outside. It's raining, thunder, all that jazz. So my recommendation is if things kind of get a little rough when it comes to the signal, I'll go ahead and change things up and then try and get a better internet signal throughout this process. All right, so what we're going to be doing. All right, I want to talk today before somebody calls in about how to connect with judges. A lot of you guys have a tendency to speak to a judge in a manner in which the judge is not going to like, or and try how we can do this a little bit better and explain why administrative law judges are kind of a tough communication based creature to interact with. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Administrative law judges see disability claims all day long, all the time. It's just one of those things where they've become jaded to the entire experience. So what does that mean when they become jaded to it? It means that they've seen the same impairments over and over and over again. So they have this expectation that you as a claimant will go ahead and interact in a certain way with the judge based on your impairment. So if you have anxiety, you might have speech difficulties, and they're looking for that. If you have back problems, they're expecting you to stand up every 15 minutes and say, ow, my back. So there's things that they just expect. The problem is most claimants don't realize that if the judges don't receive this information about what they expect, then they get stuck in this, like maybe they're a faker mode. Maybe, and the judge is sitting there, maybe they're faking, maybe not telling me the truth. Maybe this person is not as genuine as they claim to be. So let's talk about that real quick. Let's use depression, for example. So a depressed person, just to give somebody a quick, outline as to what depression is on kind of a visual diagram. You have you on a normal day. This is you when you're down. This is you when you're on kind of like a higher level and you're anxious, right? You when you're normal, you when you're sad, you when you're tired, you when you're depressed, not wanting to do things, right? So this is your depression. This is your anxiety. This is your mood swing. This is your bipolar. This is your panic attack, right? But this is you on a normal day. So depressed people, what does the judge expect depressed people to go ahead and do? The judge expects the depressed individuals to not want to have to interact with them. Kind of have a quiet speech, or maybe have quick moments where they jump out and don't really talk much and then jump out again. They expect them to go ahead and not want to go into detail about what's going on in their life. They have these expectations that they're not going to be storytellers. They have these expectations that they're not going to be capable of reaching out. Depression-based claimants, in my opinion, have to have the best storytelling about their abilities, because most people don't connect to depressed people, because depressed people are, you could say, and it would be a bad choice of words, but you could say that they tend to be boring people that pull away from everybody. They're not the person drinking at the bar that gets everybody on their side and excited, oh my goodness. They're not the person screaming through the video game system, go, 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 go. They're not the person that's on the dance floor saying, come here, let's dance. They're just not that person. So the judge has to reach out with their emotions. It's kind of like watching a movie versus watching a play. You have to reach out with the play going on in front of you in order to make that a reality. So the issue here is this. When it comes down to depressed-based individuals explaining to the judge why they have depression at a level in which they cannot work, which is the whole point of this whole system, right? I'm depressed, ergo, I cannot go ahead and go forward and basically, do these things that I want to do in life. So the trick with this is to talk about stories in which case you weren't able to do things that you would have loved. I always like claimants who are depressed to start with family-based gatherings, family-based events. Didn't get married, or I got married and I got divorced, or I was supposed to go to this event, or there was a death in the family and I didn't act appropriately. I couldn't even make it there. I want them to start with a familial-based story that will go ahead and explain to the judge in terms that the judge can understand. And just so you guys know, it says I'm unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that too. I'm just going to type something. The connection is unstable. So the really important thing here is to remember, when it comes to depression, you have to be able to get the judge onto your side. And you have to be able to tell the judge a story that the judge can relate to in some way. All right. When you're trying to get the judge on your side and have them relate to you, remember this. Judges are usually older. They usually have kids. They usually have a wife or a husband. They usually have, pets. They usually have, for example, children, or, they've been to funerals, they've been to weddings, things like that. You need to connect with them on the things that are relevant to their life. So when you're sitting there going, okay, how do I connect with this judge with my depression? You need to connect with them, right, in a way that it's a story that's somehow relevant to what's going on in their life. So if you're sitting there like, I want to tell the judge a story about my, failed marriage, right? That's probably pretty relevant. And I'm saying this not to be mean, but judges have a high level of failed, marriages. They have a high level of failed relationships. They have a high level of alcoholism. I understand that judges are human beings, usually with a lot of issues. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. What does that really mean? A judge will go ahead. A judge will go ahead and basically look at the story that you're telling them in a couple of viewpoints, right? Never forget that a judge may have gone through something similar. So you may be walking into a trap. You might be saying, oh, my wife cheated on me and did this and this and this, and this really caused my depression. And that might be a situation where the judge connects with you, right? Because their wife could have cheated on them, or an ex-spouse could have, or an ex-girlfriend, whatever, or flip it, do the male-female version. It could be something that also shoots you in the foot. So you've got to be careful. And you've got to size up that judge the moment you walk in and see them if you're not represented. If you're represented and have an attorney, your attorney can kind of tell you the backstory on what that judge is going through and if a story would be an appropriate story to tell to that judge. So let's talk about this. You're a depressed individual. You're picking a story. Let's go and pick out 2 potential stories that you could present to the judge, because remember, you've only got so much time to give testimony to the judge. And during this time period, you have to get the judge to connect with you. A story of how you are depressed because your ex-husband murdered your dog in front of you and hung the dog, versus a story about how your ex-husband stole your car and basically, ended up selling it without your permission. So let's look at those 2 stories as options. What would be a better story for each type of judge, right? So this is actually a story where there was a situation where a claimant had both of these things happen to her. We did not, ahead of time, before the hearing, have discussion as to which story should be told to explain the most severe impairment, which in this case was depression. And when she came out with the story about her dog, everybody in the room, except for the judge, was upset. I was upset because I'm a dog lover. I was thinking, okay, how do we find the person that did this to the dog? And what happened was, and I'm going to summarize it because it's horrific and it's not pleasant. What happened was the husband was psychotic and had these issues where he always felt that his wife was potentially cheating on him. And, it's very similar to this identity of where basically a royalty person is thinking everybody's trying to, go against me. Well, it's the same deal with these types. They think they're the king and the wife is their queen and the queen is going against them and everybody's going against them. And hence we get to the situation where one day she comes home and he's in a particularly bad mood. He's not happy. He's not doing well. And she asks where the dog is. He leads her over to the sliding glass door. She sees the dog and is scrambling to try and get through the sliding glass door because she thinks the dog is still breathing and alive as it's hanging there because it's been hung. So she rushes over to the dog to go ahead and raise the dog, get the dog to be able to breathe again, and save the dog. But what she didn't know is that her husband had basically strangled the dog, knowing what time she would come home, so that the dog would be dead by the time she got there, and just dead so that it would look a certain way to her. Is that a good story to tell to a judge? Yes, because most judges have a soft spot in their heart for pets. A lot of judges have pets. A lot of judges, even if they don't have a pet, will have a soft spot for that particular thing because it's an animal. It's something with a soul. It's something that they love their child, whether it's a dog, whether it was talking English or not, doing some sort of thing, a Hollywood dog movie. Here's the kicker. Let's compare that story now against the husband stole her car and sold it without her permission. The husband stole the car and sold it without her permission. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to grab a drink real quick with my squeaky chair. So let's talk about this. You've got the two stories, right? And for those just joining us, you have story number one of connecting with the judge. You can tell the story of how the husband hung the dog versus the husband stole the car and sold it illegally, okay? All right, so you've heard the dog story. Now let's go to the car story. This gentleman, the husband of the wife, not a good person, went ahead and she was off visiting her mom who was sick. And basically her car was parked there. He had a spare key. And he did not know where she went. So in his head, he thought that she was cheating on him. And the reality was that she was actually with her mom. And who knows? You know what I mean? Clients lie to me all the time. It could have gone either way. But the bottom line is she was away with her mom. So he took the car and he went to a buddy's place. That was one of those like, car repo yada yadas. And he basically found somebody to sell the car to. He sold the car. And then when she came back, he threatened her that he would kill her if ... she tried to reclaim the car. Now, there's a lot of issues here. First thing most people think is, well, how did she sign the title? He signed it for her in her name, yada, yada. So the bottom line is she lost a car. Now, out of these two types of, storylines, what you have to deal with is, number one, do we choose to tell the judge the story about the loss of the dog, or do we choose to tell the judge the story about the loss about the car? Nobody really cares about the car. Most people weren't sitting there thinking, was it a Toyota Corolla? Was it a Ford Mustang? Was it a Rolls Royce? Nobody was really sitting there thinking about it. But I bet you in your head, you were sitting there thinking about that dog. And you had a picture in your head as to what color that dog was. You might have even had a picture in your head as to what type of breed that dog was. You might have even in your head imagined the sounds of the dog whimpering as it was dying prior to the wife, the owner of the dog, coming home to see the dog. Now, which of these stories is obviously the judge going to connect with? Judge doesn't give a shit about the car. It answers a question quickly, though, for the judge. Do you have a car for SSI purposes? Right? Do you have a license? Are you able to drive? So in this situation, she went with the story about the dog, and the judge really, really connected with that particular story. So with that said, when you go to choose, and I want to point this out, if you have an attorney, you should be working out with your attorney ahead of time that one story that you're going to be telling to the judge, that one particular thing that is going to make you seem humanistic. And the reason why is that the judge has to connect with you. Oh, the judge is going to connect with me because I'm going to tell them how my impairments are. Whoa, bro. Whoa, Princess Buttercup. Hold up there. When you tell the judge, right? Oh, I have pain. The pain is really bad. It feels like a grinding sensation in my back and a shooting sensation that goes to my knees. And it makes my toes numb and it makes my hands numb and I can't type well. All these things. There is zero emotional connection. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, I can really tell him. No, you can't. Even when you are crying, we care, but not in the way you think. And the reason why is we're all jaded. We see this stuff all the time. It's like, a prison guard seeing things that would make most people cry. That's Layla. Prison guard trying to sit, basically seeing things that would make most people feel that gut jerk reaction on the inside. And the truth is that we just don't connect with it like that. We don't, because we see it all the time. And that's okay. It's just part of it. It's just, oh wow, hold on. I've got a dog frenzy over here. Okay. So here's what you need to know. There's lightning outside and Layla is a scared you piggy. Mwah. Oh, Shadow, calm down. I just gave her one kid. So here's what you need to know. Okay. When it comes down to telling a story, the judge has to be able to get past the usual stuff that makes her or him just go, okay, here we go. Here's another 45 minutes of this person telling me a story that I've already heard 1,000 times from claimants that were just like them. Because I'm going to tell you what the judge is thinking. This is what the judge is thinking in their head. The judge is thinking, okay, all right. Looks, medical records pretty good. Okay. Yeah, it's the usual spiel. Okay. How old are they? They're 55? Okay, approve. How old are they? They're 45? Deny, deny, deny. And that's what they're doing in their head. They are doing an analysis based upon griddings to see if they can grid you out. They already know you most likely don't meet a listing, right? Most of you don't. Through all the elements. They've got that in their back pocket. But if you're older, like 55, yeah, they're probably going to approve the claim because you fit the bill. How are you going to prove that you fit the bill when you're younger and you don't fall into a gridding because you're 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, etc.? Well, the way you do it is by connecting with the judge on that deep level. All right, so now let's talk about stories that are really, really great and stories that are really, really terrible. Okay, as my dogs run around and hit things. Things that you need to know, okay? So when it comes down to telling a story that's really good, you'll know that the judge appreciates it. The judge will almost never show emotion, but you might see the clerk show emotion. You might see, for example, one of the, the vocational expert show emotion, right? Now, keep in mind, there's some hardcore vocational experts who have heard it all and don't care. That's just part of the gig. Same thing with the judges. They've heard it all. If you think this is all neutral and natural and whatever to you, or rather this is unique to you, think again. None of this stuff is unique to you. Everything's happened to these guys a million times over. Okay. Also, keep in mind, guys, it says for some reason I can't connect to the chat. I'm not sure what the dealio is there, but let me just text somebody and see if, let's see. Are they chatting? So I can't see whether or not people are basically chatting or doing the yada yada. So if you do have a question, it might have to be reflected to me through the phone. Somebody text me. Okay, cool. I guess, yeah, people are chatting. So I can't see what you're texting. So just bear with me. I might be able to get some questions through somebody who's moderating the actual chat room so that I know kind of what you're asking. All right, let's go through this. I'm going to open it up. All right, now I didn't do the intro. We went right into it because I didn't know how the internet connection was going to be and things like that because there's a major storm over Florida right now. I want to go through a couple of things. First and foremost, a note from our sponsor. So there is a group called Second Wave Masks. I don't think she has a website yet, but we are going to get on that and get her a website as soon as we can. And they're really cool because she makes masks that fit really well, and they're really easy, and they're really amazing, and they're made well. They're three-dimensional in how they're made, so they do a really good job. So basically what that means is that if you guys want some of those masks, you should talk to Cheyenne because she makes them, and they're incredible. And if she can put up, so tag the Facebook link. I have no idea how to tag a Facebook link. So help me out. How do I tag a Facebook link? Is that just like a hashtag something? I don't know. I'm not into that stuff. I should be. I'm not. So the other sponsor I want to talk about, Cheyenne, help me out. Just put in the thingy. So the other thing I want to go ahead and talk about is my other unofficial sponsor. Today's soap is, and I should have picked a better name, Bahama Mama. I just picked it off the thing. And that's so inappropriate for a law firm channel. But we're going to go with it, Bahama Mama. It smells really good. So that's why I picked it. So, all right. Let's talk about this. Okay. Once again, I'm going to ask her to go ahead and put the phone number up. Please put the phone number up. Anybody wants to call in, I'll run questions with you. That's totally fine. All right. Next thing I want to go through would be the sequence of, basically the whole hearing process. In the very beginning of these COVID hearings, the clerk will almost always call the attorney first. That's pretty much just how they're doing it. Who will already be on the phone? The judge, the clerk, obviously, because they're the one making the phone call, and the vocational expert. And then they usually call the attorney. And then last but not least, you. They'll call you last. So what you need to do is understand that when all these people are together, we begin the hearing process, and the intros are almost always the same. There will be a little story about how you have to be in a separate room away from people, that the judge is in a separate room away from people, and that basically people can't or shouldn't be able to access your area or the sound from your area, right? Because the whole point of this is it's supposed to be essentially something that is private to you, right? HIPAA law protecting laws for your health information, etc., and also judicial laws protecting your privacy as well. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. As this whole thing begins, the judge is being nice, laying out things, setting the table for the chess game. Okay, the judge will be communicating to the attorney on almost always three things. Thing number one, attorney, is the record complete? Right? Because that's the one thing that, angers the judges. I almost said, something godly there, but angers the great beings, is that the record won't be complete. Now, they're aware that due to Corona and all that jazz, it's not that easy getting medical records from a lot of these facilities. So that's fine. It is what it is. But they'll usually give your attorney, or if you're not represented, they'll tell you to go get a representative. That's usually what they do. And I know a lot of you guys are like, I'm going to do this on my own and I'm amazing. And some of you can. Some of you can if your claim is really good. Some of you don't have a really good claim and the attorney has to fix a bunch of stuff and yada, yada. So in the case where basically the judge is communicating to your attorney, the judge will say, okay, well, I will give you 2 weeks to go get the rest of it and keep the record open. Now, remember, that is usually only if your attorney has already submitted a 5-10-day letter. And for those of you guys who don't know what it is, all right, fine, I'll tell you. What it is 10 days before the hearing, we have to tell the judge if we can't get something, like if we need them to subpoena something. 5 days away from the hearing, we have to tell the judge what's not currently in the record that we're still searching for. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. The judge wants to know the record is complete because then the judge can go straight to post. Well, hold on, I'm going to wait until it reconnects. Okay, so the brief writer is the person who basically writes briefs on behalf of the judge. So the judge collects information, takes their notes on the actual hearing, takes their notes from what you said, and then they go ahead from there and basically send it off to their writer. And their writer then writes that long decision letter that you always get 3 to 4 months after the hearing. Now, remember, it can take less time to get a decision, and then basically go ahead and, get out that information. Like, let's say that the judge decides on the record OTR just means that they're deciding, basically prior to the hearing, or ruling from the bench means that they're deciding the actual ruling to the decision of that hearing at the hearing. So, OTR before the hearing, ruling from the bench at the hearing, traditional ruling, is basically your 3 to 4 month yada yada. Now, because the judges are home, believe it or not, the decisions are coming out. What is the alleged or amended alleged onset date? Now, a lot of you guys don't know this, but the amended alleged onset date. The amended alleged onset date is the date in which, basically a person is claiming they became disabled under the rules and regulations, right? So what does that mean? It means the date in which somebody became disabled is the date that you're choosing, that which you believe you meet their rules and regulations for a severe impairment. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. What that means is that you have to pick a smart date. A lot of people are like, well, I want to pick the date from before I went to prison, and was in jail for an extended period, yada, yada. Most likely you can't do that. I want to pick the date where I was earning lots of money, for about a year after that, and then, couldn't work anymore. You can't pick that date, which is why pretty much if you're going in there alone, the judge is just going to choose whatever is the easiest date for them to pick for your claim, which is why most claimants who do this on their own basically lose a lot of back pay and retroactive benefits. They don't care because to them it worked out, and let's call it like it is, they're happy to just have the money, any money that they can get. So it's the date that you medically meet the severity requirements. We're not earning too much thereafter, earning over SGA. And there was nobody taking care of you like a penal institution or some, homeless help institution, that which is paid for directly by the county or state or federal government. Those are some limitations when it comes to, that situation. So what that means is basically the judge wants to know, is the record complete? The judge wants to know what's the alleged onset date. And then the judge wants to know, is there an opening statement? Okay. I'm just reading some things that are coming through here. Is my chat working? No, it's not. So just so you guys know, my chat says unable to connect to your chat. Please try again later. Let me see if I can click this. Can't click it. Can't do anything. I saw Dime Darrow put hello, but then after that, everything just got, nothing was happening. So I'm not really sure. Anyways, so basically, what is an opening statement? How do I refresh my live? Do I click the live button? No, that does nothing. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to fix this because if I can fix this, I can read your comments. All right. So what is an opening statement? An opening statement is a summary as to how you meet the disabled impairment system. It's basically how you go forward and, meet the grids, the listings, the CALs, or any of those programs within the disability program. So, okay, looks like we have a call in. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Are you ready to run some hearing questions? Perfect. Okay, give me 1 second room. All righty, good sir. So quick update and quick disclaimer. There's no attorney-client privilege, and you got to choose a fake name to go ahead and run these. What is your fake name for the hearing questions?
Peter.
Peter, excellent. Peter, walk me through, how old are you?
57.
57 years old. What is your most severe impairment?
I have vasculitis.
Excellent. Can you tell me what your top 5 most severe impairments are?
Vasculitis, and then I have in my back, the disc impairment there. And then I also, from the vasculitis, I have leg lesions, lesions on my legs. It's hard. And then the vasculitis, then I got like rheumatism from the flu or something. It's like my arms, sort of my left arm now, it's been like for a couple months. But I applied March 12th on the phone disability. I'm from Minnesota. And they called like 3 times now. They called and asked me some questions. Last time they just called a couple days ago. And this was the work about because I want a cleaning service for the last 15 years. And about a year ago, I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, just I couldn't. So then they called the other day and they just wanted a few more questions about my work, when the last time I worked, and how many hours did I work a week when I did work, and I only worked like 3 hours a week. And then I asked her, it was a woman, and that was the work thing. And then I go, what happens next? She goes, well, the medical is done, so they must have located on that end. I didn't understand that. And then she goes, well, now we're just waiting for a decision. So within a couple weeks, she was saying.
So
is that possible? I mean,
yeah. So you had an ALJ hearing, correct?
I didn't have no hearing, nothing.
Okay. Did you speak with an administrative law judge over the phone?
No.
Okay. So how many denials have you received?
None. I just applied on March 12th. First time I ever applied.
Okay. So bottom line is you're at the initial filing level, and the person who's adjudicating your claim is DDS, which is Disability Determination Services. They're kind of like little itty-bitty judges. They're like baby judges. Basically, their job is to fill out forms based upon what's in the record and what their physicians on their end see. So what's happening is you've completed all the forms. They probably had a few questions about medical providers, where you've worked, things that you might do throughout the day. And then other than that, they enter that into a form to see whether or not you are severe enough to go ahead and be found disabled. Now, in your case, it sounds like blood vessel issues, correct?
Yeah, yep. It's your arteries and stuff.
Okay, so tell me about it. How are you unable to work because of it?
I just feel so pooped out, so tired, and then I have them sores in my legs because your blood doesn't flow, and then it's I have these awful lesions on my legs and stuff. It's like I show the pictures of they're really gross. It goes away, it comes back, and then there's no cure for it either for vasculitis. And then they say then it's rare. Then it's a rare disease anyways. Then it's rare if it stays away, but it's coming back now and then. God. I mean, I don't know. And then my back, and I tried some exercises and stuff, and that just doesn't work. And and I try to stay active, but I can't do too much. I can only walk about 200 feet. And then the rheumatologist, the specialist, they gave me a permanent handicap parking permit. So that's good forever, I guess. I don't know if that matters to any, but so I do see a specialist rheumatologist at least once a month.
All right. So explain to me, what did you do at your prior job?
I own a cleaning service, and I mostly did all the work myself. So I owned it since 2005.
Okay, but that's a good summary of what you did. But tell me, what did you do? I mean, what were you cleaning? Were you cleaning hotels?
I did clean commercial buildings, industrial buildings, a few smaller accounts too. This big account that I had took like 9 hours a day, and it was full time.
Okay.
That one paid very well, and I had a couple of ones besides that, and I tried to do most myself. I had a couple of helpers, but and then towards the end, I just couldn't do anymore. I mean, it was taking me like 15 hours a day. It was just, and then finally the big account that I had, they got rid of me because I just couldn't get it all done. And then so they got rid of me, and then
tell me what you couldn't do. I get the 15 hours. You couldn't do the length of time required to do this activity, but what activities were you doing?
Oh, like mopping and scrubbing the shower room, or just everything. The place is filthy. I mean, that's a big account. It's like a foundry, steel foundry. It's a pretty big place, and I mean, you could do it. If you clean the break room 4 hours later, it'd be dirty again. I mean, it's just impossible. And then it's constantly going.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, then I'd be so painful. I'd go on the nurse station and kind of lay down. Because they had like a couple cots in there, and just,
Okay. So walk me through this. So basically, you were doing the basic functions, the traditional functions that are required to go ahead and clean commercial establishments. But you still haven't told me what was so tough for you.
The tough work, just climbing the stairs, mopping, just everything, just everything. I mean, then you get to one place and you got to go to the other place and drive, and then just busy, stressful.
So out of 10, I want to give you just a thought pattern here. Out of 10, how connected do you feel that I am to the story of why you can't work? Do you feel like I'm emotionally connected? Do you feel like I'm not really connecting to it much?
I feel like you're not connecting it too much, maybe.
Okay. So what would be better to help me connect with the story as to why you can't work?
Well, I would have to come up with, I mean, I just tell the truth and everything. I haven't been lying about anything about it. Nobody, it's just maybe you get into the pain more. When I work, I just had to stop and relax, and just sit down. That more, and then just the stress, and then depression about it all too. Just, just can't get it done. And I know I was going to lose the account, and then, it's a lot of money.
So basically,
try.
Yeah, so basically, we've transitioned from physical pain now to emotional loss-based issues. So tell me, what was more difficult for you, the emotional loss of the money and the job to being not able to do functional tasks such as your work, or was the physical pain worse?
I would say probably the emotional, mostly because I was just depressed, and then and then the loneliness of just being home, and then the worry about where the next dime's going to come from, make the house payment and stuff, and just,
Okay, now walk me through this. Since you had these difficulties, what happened directly after? What happened a year after? And where are you at now when it comes to that emotional pain?
Well, still the emotional pain is still there and everything, but I did luck out, and I did get the unemployment because of all this corona stuff, so I'm kind of making it now, thank God. But I'm still just depressed, and still got to go through this. The medications I take and stuff, and I mean, they had to switch medication on me now again because I was getting sick off that. They really thought they were going to be. And then sometimes I even had a hard time keeping track of the medications. I'd write it down, and sometimes I forget to write it down. When did I take it last? I mean, It's confusing too. I mean, just amongst that and other things too. Like my dad fell and broke his hip, and nothing they can do. You can't see him in person because that's all locked down. And
okay. So now, keep in mind, in hearing, this would never happen, which is where you're not having questions fired at you. In a hearing, you would be in a structured system of questions. Right now, do you feel like talking about your dad is relevant to your impairments?
No.
Okay. I'm going to run some questions. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and run some questions with you. I'm going to shoot them at you quickly. Answer them quickly. And then we're going to go ahead and review your answers. I'm going to do a short set. Good, sir. Go ahead and state your fake name for the record.
Peter Lund.
Excellent. Can you walk me through this? When it comes to your ability to work, are you able to work right now?
No.
Surely you could do something such as a Walmart greeter job, something simple, maybe blanching almonds. Wouldn't you be able to do something like that?
No, I doubt it. I can't stand for no more than 5 minutes.
Okay. So help me out with this. How far can you walk before you have to sit down?
About 200 feet.
200 feet? Okay, gotcha. Do you play any sports currently?
No.
Okay. When you walk that 200 feet, how do you know it's 200 feet? What do you normally walk to?
Well, because my vehicle's probably about 100 feet ahead. When I get cart outside, by the time I get into the store to get a cart, it's like I'm pooped out. I'm ready just to hang on the cart. So let's get 200 feet. So I can pretty much, by the time I get to that, it's like, I got to rest, grab the cart. One thing is the shopping cart is easier to walk. Because I use a cane too.
Okay. When was the cane prescribed?
Yeah, well, kind of both ways. It was kind of mutual thing when it was about the doctor was on about the cane stuff. I go, yes. This was like the same. That it was like the same thing. He had a question about it, and I had a question about it, and I did get one then.
So they didn't prescribe one for you?
No, because it was like we already said there's lines or something, like you use a cane, and then I was going to ask you about that. So it was kind of, because they see me struggling trying to walk, you know what I mean? If I walk kind of hunched over too, because I just can't straighten up sometimes.
Do you use the cane on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Okay. So help me out with this. What objective evidence do you have that you use it on a daily basis?
Well, I have to. Well, people see me with it all the time. I mean, if I go somewhere.
Will those people be with you?
Store, I'll use a shopping cart to push that, and then I don't need to. I'll just put the cane in the cart then.
Right. Will those people be present at the hearing with you?
Well, they could be if I ask them, I suppose. The good friends I know. And actually, one a person I know made me a nice walking stick too. So.
Okay. So one thing you're going to need to get is a prescription for that cane. And the reason why is the judge needs it to validate the statement that you are using a cane. Just keep in mind, especially during with all of this, phone call stuff and COVID, they're not going to physically see you with the cane. And automatically, when you do not have a prescription for a cane, it puts it in the judge's mindset that you just brought it there for the hearing. Okay?
Okay. Right.
Okay. So now, good sir. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What about when it comes to cooking, cleaning, or doing laundry? Do you have any issues with those?
Yes, I do, actually. The washer and dryer is in the basement, for instance, and usually I put the laundry in a garbage bag, and bring it down the steps. That's not too bad. And I did put an extra railing, so there's a railing on both sides of the basement steps, so that makes it a little easier. Getting the washer is not too bad. Well, then getting out the dryers, that's more of a pain. So, and then almost every time I come up the basement steps, I have something, because I go down there for a reason. I'm going to bring something back up with me. And that's kind of hell because I can kind of hang on to the railing with one arm and try to do the other. And I get out of breath. I'm just like, jeez, just trying to climb the steps.
Okay. How long can you sit? Okay. How long can you sit before you have to stand up?
10 minutes.
Okay.
And then if I sit longer than that, and then when I get up, it's like pain. Like I gotta stretch. I gotta like stand there and kind of stretch before I can walk.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Can you tell me how does your impairment limit your ability to do the job you once did?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to stand and walk, and then go up the steps. And how am I going to sit down? I mean, if I have a bigger building, I got to sit down. I mean, I just can't stand there. Even with the cane to lean on that, I got to sit because, then I get up and then I got to lay down too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes on my bed, just because I'm glad I got this bed too, that the legs can go up like this adjustable bed. So that helps a lot,
All right, now here's the thing. I'm not super connecting to why you can't work, and I get it. I get what your impairment is. I get the blood vessel issue. I get the standing issue. I get you have swelling. You have all kinds of issues related to it where you physically are limited to doing these things. But I mean, you tell me. What about places you used to work? What were things that were hard to clean? Like, give me visualizations. What was hard to clean?
Oh, like vacuuming, getting the heavy garbages.
Vacuuming what?
The carpeting.
What kind of carpeting? Thick carpeting?
Just the industrial carpet, but it's always so dirty. It's little rocks and stuff. And then I'm trying to get the big garbages. Then I have to wheel that in the winter. And then in Minnesota, winter is like 6 days a year,
So let me ask you this then. So we've got an issue here where it sounds like you have a hard time with commercial trash cans, the big ones, 4 rollers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but you could handle your household trash can, right?
Well, not all the time. I don't have it overfilled when I take it out or something. And then usually I have some stops over and helps me out too.
Okay. At any point, did you tell me how big your home trash can is?
No, I didn't.
Do we all know how big that commercial 4-wheel rolling trash can is? Yeah, we've all got a pretty good idea. But do I know what size trash can yours is?
No, you probably don't know.
So tell me, what size trash can do you have?
We got a 10-gallon one in the kitchen.
About 10-gallon one? So when it's full, on average, what does it usually weigh?
I don't try not to get it a little more than 7 pounds, probably. I mean, 5 pounds.
Okay. But when it's full, how much does it weigh?
Oh, I no more than 5 pounds. I suppose 5 pounds.
So that many gallons of a bag would weigh 15, 20, 30 pounds, depending on what was in it. So you said you didn't have issues lifting or dealing with your home trash can, right? And then we followed it up with, right, and I agree. But you see how I put words in your mouth there?
Right.
The judge, the judge would have never said to you, hey, what kind of trash can do you have? Hey, what size is it? Hey, they would have just written down, can lift trash out of a traditional household trash can, therefore has the capacity to lift over 10 pounds.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, your home garbage is only going to be once every 3 days or something, maybe once every 5 days. I live alone, so,
But think about it. If you can lift that, right? You said there was no issue before because I said, and you remember the wording, so you wouldn't have any issue with the household one, right? And you were like, no, yeah, it's like, it might have a little, then we got into the whole, how full is it? How heavy is it? How big is it? All that stuff. Never let the judge get you to say, yeah, that could be okay. And that was that whole trick question I asked you. And we didn't go into the whole laundry thing, but cooking, cleaning, laundry, you went through those pretty quickly. You gave me a few, this would be a problem, that would be a problem. You said the dryer would be a problem, but the washer, that's no problem. Well, if the washer's no problem, then you're picking up that whole bin of clothing that's dirty and you're throwing it in there. How heavy is that bin of laundry, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Those 10 pounds, maybe. I don't know. It depends. I try not to let it get too heavy because I go on basement steps.
Right. Can I ask you this? Are you currently smoking?
No, I never smoked. Well, I can't say that because I've had cigarettes before.
When did you stop smoking?
Oh, it was never really a habit, but if we were camping like years ago, I'd have like a menthol cigarette or something. So I've never had a cigarette in probably 10 years, maybe now.
Okay, gotcha. Do you currently drink?
I do have a few Windsors.
Okay. And what are Windsors? Is that a beer? Is that wine?
It's a Windsor whiskey.
Okay. So, how many shots would you say you have in a sitting?
A day?
Yeah.
I would maybe 4 drinks a week, I would say, on average.
4 drinks or 4 cups or 4 shots?
4. Well, it's really about a shot in every drink. So yeah, I'd say 4 shots, I suppose.
Okay, 4 shots. Okay.
And usually like on a Friday night or something, someone stops over to have a drink or something.
Okay, gotcha. Is that your favorite whiskey?
Yeah, I know. I just when I've gotten, that's actually the only thing I do drink, I guess, is alcohol in it, I guess, would be. I don't drink beer.
Mm-hmm.
I used to drink beer, but I haven't had a can of beer in probably 8 years, probably. I don't drink beer.
So help me out with this. Do you have a recent bottle? How much did a recent bottle cost?
Bottle of Windsor. I just bought one too, and it was less than $10. But I'm getting the unemployment for the $800 a week now. $600 from the federal one, and then the state $200.
Sure, you're getting the unemployment and all that jazz through the Corona Fund, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Is that how you had to buy the alcohol and food and things like that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. If you received your disability benefits, what would you spend them on?
Groceries, house payments, utilities. The utilities ain't too bad. This is like a small bungalow house, so utilities ain't too awful bad. The house payments about $500 a month. That includes insurance and taxes. So that should be the priority. And of course, insurance on the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Sure.
So house payments, utilities first.
Okay. Help me out with this. I mean, if you won your benefits, I'm sure you would celebrate. What kind? Would you still get the same alcohol, or would you get a different alcohol?
I think probably the same, because I believe it's around the same price for the other things.
Okay.
I've never really checked before, but
Okay. All right. So we've just talked about smoking, tobacco products. We've talked about alcohol. So you tell me, if I'm a judge, how good do you think I'm feeling right now about you spending federal disability funds on alcohol?
Yeah. Well, he's probably wondering how much he really does spend on alcohol, or does he really tell the truth about buying that one bottle every, having 4 drinks a week, or so he might question that,
Yeah. The judge might be a heavy drinker, but I can assure you the judge is not going to like that disability funds, which are meant for your general upkeep, are being spent on,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I don't want to lie and not say I don't drink one. But I mean, of course, if they find out they're lying, well, then that'd be it, So I've been really truthful with all the questions.
For sure.
When they asked me, when I first applied or anything.
The kicker with it is this: when it comes down to these ALJs, and remember, you're not at that level yet. You're a DDS right now, which is just like a smaller, kind of lower level of adjudicators. Adjudicators are judges, and they're like baby judges that basically fill out forms, compared to the higher. They know the system, they know the law, they know how it all interacts with itself. You're now out of the Formville, and you're now into the brief high. We're gonna, you're starting to see some of the things you have to watch out for, because if this were a hearing, I would have just literally said, okay, well, what kind of drink would you get if you did win your benefits? And then you would basically be sitting there going, oh, I'd get this one. This is a good one. I like this one a lot, right? This is, although if I were you, I would do it in more like a Fargo movie voice, which is like perfect, perfect for that. But the reality is this: the judge is sitting there going, cringe. He's going to spend my disability money that I'm getting to him on alcohol with his friends on Friday. So, just something to think about.
I really would buy the same brand. I mean,
And you're an honest guy too. You're sitting there going, you know what? There's a lot of options, but this is the one I like. That's good.
Yeah, this one I like. I'm acquired a taste for it, I guess. So.
That's good. That's good. You're much
but
more.
I gotta have pop with it.
Yeah.
I gotta have Coke with it, otherwise,
yeah. No, that's good. All right. So let me ask you this: when it comes down to things in the environment that bother you, and what I'm really I'm not going to tell you ahead of time. There are things called environmental restrictions, things like cold, hot, dust, smoke, vibrations, loud sounds, bright lights. What things in the environment limit your ability to work or have more difficulty with your impairments?
The cold, for one thing, the cold and the snow, hard to get around. The cold,
but you live in the cold, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived here all my life, but it's too, it's harder now.
Okay, so why is it harder now?
Well, with my disability, it's just hard to get around in the snow. And, somebody's to shovel for me and all the rest of the summer, but sometimes they're not there, and then, but then I just can't go nowhere then, I guess, till if I can't get out to the truck, well, I ain't going to try to raise my back and fall, and, somebody see me with the lane there.
When you go grocery shopping, do you bring your cane?
Yes, I do. I keep them on. I keep an extra walking stick in the vehicle, and I keep a cane in the vehicle, an extra one.
What kind of vehicle do you drive?
I have a truck, a pickup truck, which seems to be easier to get in for me. I had a smaller, or I had a medium-sized car before. It's just kind of like even for me. I mean, it just seems easier to get in and out. It might not make sense to a judge, maybe, but it just seems you can kind of slide right in there. You know what I mean? But I can. I went to my friend's house, which was about an hour and 15-minute drive one way.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, 45 minutes went by, and I almost pulled over. And my legs started to hurt. My lower back started to hurt. And I go, I can do it. Only another half hour to go, and man, I got to go. And oh man, in a stretch, and I had to stand there for like a couple 3 minutes, just stand there and stretch, and hang on the truck, and then walk around where the cane, and then I'm glad it wasn't too big of a walk to go in and live in that sit down place. Yeah. So now I know I haven't taken a long drive like that in my time.
Mostly highways or back roads?
That's up to this place, all highway. I mean, it was easy driving, but around this town, it's relatively easy driving here. I mean, about 85,000 people live in Duluth, I think.
Where do you put the cane?
And when I do go,
yeah,
when I do grocery store, I usually wait till it's not so crowded either. Closer to when they're closing.
Yeah. Where do you put the cane when you're driving there?
It's it's a back seat in the truck too, but it's a 1.5 door one, crew cab. So I put it right in the back seat. That was when I get out, I can just switch right there in the back seat. Okay. So it's right. I just open up that half of the door, and then it's right there. And then I deal with that walking, sticking it to my feet too, just in case.
When you park, yeah. How far away from the store is it when you usually park?
Well, I got the handicap, so I can literally try to park right there. And I always, if I see one of them cart things where they keep the carts, I try to park by one of them, because if I can get a shopping cart, it's just a lot easier to use that to hang on to, to walk,
All right,
and they're
good.
always close to the building.
Because the next question I was going to have for you is, I thought you told me that you use a cart to lean on instead of a cane, which would immediately pull into the, why do you have the cane if you know you're going to the grocery store?
Well, I still bring the cane with me, too. Even if I do get a cart, I always bring it with me in the store, in the cart, because what if for some reason, what if I can't, or I gotta leave the cart and grab something? I always keep the cane with.
Okay. Can you tell me if you were prescribed a cane, was it a 1-prong or 4-prong?
The cane?
Yeah.
How much does it weigh, you mean?
Is it a 1-prong or 4-prong? Is there 1 prong at the bottom of it or 4?
Oh, just one. Oh, just 1 prong. Yeah.
Why weren't you? Yeah. Why weren't you prescribed a walker?
Well, I don't know. I suppose I could ask him, but I don't know.
But it's not that severe, right? You don't need a walker yet?
Well, it is. The house is pretty small, the bungalow, and it's a Dutch bathroom, so the bathroom is closed. The only problem I do have is that the basement steps, kind of, so, in the house anyways. And then, a walker probably won't be a bad idea, I guess.
Okay. So help me out here. When you're going back to the car, right, and you don't have a cart, which hand do you carry the groceries in?
Well, I always have a cart. I can't remember if I've ever done that. And if I did, I would carry the groceries in my left hand, because I always use my right hand for the cane.
So if you see a cart, you don't need the cane, right?
Right. I still have a whip, though. I put it in the cart.
Okay.
Good. But then I'll use the cart to hang on to.
So you're starting to get it. Now you're starting to play by it. Now you're starting to say, oh, there's the speeding silver bullet. Okay. Good. That's good. All right. Let me turn it up a little bit. Good sir, can you walk me through what do you do for fun throughout the day? What do you do?
Well, I try to do hobbies, like for the puzzle. The other leg is boring after that. I put that like the Corona thing. I study on stuff like the Social Security stuff. I like to keep track of everything, the news and stuff, and the government. And so I'm always busy with something. Just the government. I like to keep track of everything that's going on.
So you, just as an example, what kind of, okay, now don't get me wrong. I grew up on a farm. And on the farm, we had basically all kinds of board games. Now remember, Nintendo, the basic fundamental Nintendos were coming out at that point. But when I grew up on a farm, we had farm games. We had Monopoly, which I was particularly good at. We had, Chutes and Ladders, stuff like that. What is your favorite board game?
I'd say we used to play that Scrabble. That was home of the marbles.
Okay. Scrabble, so you were making words, right? You were putting words together to go ahead and get points.
Scrabble, and then that abrogation too, that one.
Sure. So who do you play this game with?
Oh, I haven't played that in years now. But, we used to play it. My sister used to play.
Well, what do you play now?
I haven't played it. The computer.
Yeah, what kind of game is it? A Westwood game? Is it a?
Oh, just the phone. Oh, I don't get into games. I don't play games on the computer. I don't get into games on the computer.
So then, what do you do on the computer?
It's more like just study stuff. Watch YouTube. I like to watch the wilderness things and stuff. Wish I could be out on a trail, walking, hiking. We do, and I have friends that stop over, the neighbor stops over and visits, we'll talk and whatever.
How long has it been since you've been out of work?
A year.
Okay.
I mean, I still would work a few hours a week, but that I'd have a helper with too, yeah, but.
Okay. Okay.
But it's been a year.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. So do you ever go to parties, religious activities, events, birthdays?
To the family, my niece's birthday was like a few weeks ago. I went to that. But that's just, I would say, about an hour.
Okay. How does your physical impairment limit your ability to go to these activities?
Well, it's just hard to get around. There's people there, and then we're going to sit, and it's like, I got the cane with and everything, and pain, and then I got to get up and stretch and stuff, and I don't know, it's just kind of embarrassing in a way too, Well, I'm, you know what I mean, just kind of, I feel uncomfortable sometimes. Just some of the kids and all that, oh, what's wrong with the ball? Oh, why is he, why is he so funny? He's getting worse or whatever.
Are you currently being seen for your depression and anxiety?
I try to hide it. I really do. Even the doctor says, it's all crap or something, but I try to be on the outside, but I worry a lot. I worry about the future, what's going to happen, and this unemployment's only going to last for so long, and then, and what, I get food stamps and stuff, but,
So just to be clear, you have not seen a physician for mental impairments?
No.
Okay. Have you had surgery on your legs?
Surgery, no.
Okay. What medication are you taking for your legs?
Well, I wasn't I take that back, but I was I had to go to that wound center, and that was, they showed me how to
dress your wounds,
put the bandage on the correct way and stuff and everything. So I went about half a dozen times because they were so bad. I had to have it. I had to wrap it, daily and put fresh bandages on it. And then the pain was so bad that I thought it just got morphine. I take that about a half hour before I take a shower, because I could have a couple friends. Because sometimes I'd say, you either stay till I want to take a shower in case I fall or something. I mean, I'd have to friend this, in case that happens. I like to take one of the morphines about half hour before I take a shower. My legs open, sort of like a kind of yellow color. It's like a kind of yellow color. And you gotta show it soap and washcloths, because you gotta get that dead skin off there, and it's like, it's terrible for a while there.
So let me ask you this: when it comes down to, all right, now here's the thing: if I were a judge, this is how I would beat you up, and I don't want to do it to be mean to you, and I just want to point that out there, because to be honest with you, if I were a judge, you know what I mean, I would be meaner than I am on this show, but not to the meanness of some of the judges and how they are to me. First and foremost, if you haven't had surgery, there's a judge in Orlando that would de facto just say, next, done, don't care, no thanks. And dressing of your wounds, that ain't enough. In fact, she had a hearing with a claimant that had constant bleeding all the time. Boom. And it was just terrible. It was just terrible. Because this guy was bleeding from his legs every week. And one little side thing, Nikki McDonald, does that mean you donated to me? That's so cool. Nobody's ever donated to my YouTube channel. I think somebody just donated to me. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know what that means in the sense of like where the money goes or what happens. So that's really great. Thank you. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so cool. I don't even know if, and it shows it's like half loaded or whatever. I mean, that's amazing. So thank you, Nikki. I really.
Before you get your bottle of Windsor.
Yeah. Oh God, no! Don't bring up the alcohol. That would be terrible. Oh God. The funny thing is. Yeah. No. I don't drink. Just so you guys know, the reason I don't drink is that I always get super duper duper sick. So. Oh my God, I just got $1.09. Man, I'm like, I don't even know where this money goes. This is good. I don't even know. And it has a little pear. That's adorable. I think it's a pear. Maybe it's like no, it's got a leaf. That's a pear, a leaf hat. Basically, here's the thing. Here's what a judge would do with your claim. Here's how a judge would beat you up on that. The judge would be going into basically, okay, doesn't do anything. Okay. So how does he pay for things? Well, he's got the benefits right now, but he's been out of work for a year, and Corona's only been paying for 2 months. So then it becomes a question of where did this extra money come from? So then the judge would be like, so what friends are you hanging out with that are helping you out? And then it becomes a question of who are you drinking with? And then it becomes a question of, well, let's take a look at his Facebook profile, right? So I'm assuming you have Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Not heavy into it. Not heavy into it, but. Oh,
okay. So I got to do another shout out. MMM001. Thank you so much for basically making a donation. That's super amazing. I really appreciate it. It was $1.99 with the cutest little pair you've ever seen. It's got a little workout strap on his head because he obviously looks like he's been working out a lot. All right, so good sir, I want to ask you this. When it comes to, all right, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, do you have any of those accounts?
I have Twitter.
Twitter? Okay, cool.
Twitter, Facebook.
Okay, Twitter and Facebook. Good, sir. What do you like to tweet about? And I don't even know Twitter. I'm assuming tweeting is the correct formal verb or whatever it is for it.
Rush is my favorite band, and tweet. That's why I got on that because I'm into that, and then tweet. That's why I got on that because I'm into that, and then that's for that. But there's like a group of them that's into the band Rush, and that's what kind of got me into the Twitter, I guess.
Okay. So
they're just the same people.
Now you have a difficult time because of your depression interacting with people, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that a little bit. You have a hard time interacting with them, but you're okay interacting with them through a digital online medium.
Right. Well, still though, yeah, because I suppose you don't know who they are. You know.
Okay. So walk me through this. And I don't want to beat you up too much here, but can you tell me this? Who do you hang out with on Friday nights?
Friday nights, depends. Sometimes no one. And if someone does come over, they don't stay a couple hours. I mean, you know, which that's fine.
Well, like a girlfriend comes over? Who comes over?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A couple of girls, they know, come over and visit. And, one buddy I've known for years, they come over and mow the grass for me, you know, give them a couple of bucks here and there. Keeps the snow off the sidewalk in the winter. And
sure. So help me out with this. And I did catch that you said a couple girls there, and I'm very proud of you. I just want to point that out. With that said, these girls come over. What do you do with them? You have you cook dinner for them? Do you watch a movie? What do you do?
I always just watch TV. I don't cook a whole lot. I used to love to cook, but I just can't make like mashed potatoes and stuff anymore like I used to. You know, I'll throw pizza in the oven maybe, but you know, something easy I can cook. You know.
So you can't cook the tough stuff. Why can't you cook the tough stuff?
This is hard. Mashed potatoes and stuff like that. Oh my god! And then if I do all that, well, then there's gonna be all the dirty dishes, and there's not always gonna be somebody. I can make the instant mashed potatoes, and that's not even all the time either.
Okay. So help me out with this. So you hang out with these people. You're having a good time. Some Fridays it happens. Some Fridays it doesn't. Can you walk me through this with your interactions with them? Why are they okay when other people aren't okay for your depression?
Well, I don't even think they realize that I'm depressed either. You know, I mean,
you probably hide it from them, things like that.
Yeah, and then I think it's more they can see I'm worried, you know, too a lot, you know, and what the future going to bring here and stuff, and you know, am I going to lose the house, whatever, you know, what's going to happen, where am I going to live, you know, or because I do live alone, so.
Okay. So let me ask you this. And I want to go into this a little bit. You have people over, they don't really know if you're disabled or not. They don't really, have that connection to you. Are these people you've known for a long time?
They all know I'm disabled and everything. Everybody knows.
Okay, good. Okay. So basically, but they're not worried about the emotional state of things. They're just worried about the house.
Well, they can see I'm worried and stuff. They don't want to get into it with me all the time either, and then I think they think it'll make it worse, you know. A few good friends we will talk, or just get it out. What's going to happen, you know, or we're all getting older and stuff, you know.
Okay. All right. So I've gone through a bunch of stuff with you. I want to give you a summary as to what I discovered throughout this whole process. Then I'm going to call back one of the other claimants that I missed a call from, or just take a new call as it comes in. Here's what I noticed with it. You seem like a very genuine person, but you seem completely unorganized with your testimony. It feels like you're grasping at times for what it is, but at the same time, I believe you. I believe that you do these things because you're saying things that are traditionally harmful for a disability claim. So, we went into a lot of things. We went into the alcohol. We went into well, I don't have any surgeries. Well, I don't have any medical treatment at all for the mental side of things. So right off the bat, as an adjudicator, I'd be thinking this guy must not be that severe. Then my next question would be, okay, do you have a prescription for the cane? No. Do you have a prescription for a walker? No. Do you have a prescription for some sort of sling or some sort of brace or some sort of thing like that? No. Okay, cool. This person is obviously not severely impaired. Maybe mild, maybe moderate. He says he can't do physical labor that involves 15-hour work with owning a business. Well, maybe he could do part-time work that would equate to SGA, substantial gainful activity. Maybe he could find a simpler, more sedentary-based job. By the way, somebody said there was sub-sedentary. There's no sub-sedentary-based job category. It's just very heavy, medium, light, and sedentary. There's no sub-sedentary because anything below sedentary is instant finding of disability. So, good sir, one thing that I want you to work on is defining all the things in your past work that were too difficult for you, and then explaining why you also would not be able to do the job of one of your employees that was working for you, because that's super important, not just to be able to be the owner who can't work, but also the person that's an employee who can't do the job that the owner wants them to do. Because if you can't do that job and you can't be the owner and you can't do other simple based jobs, not that cleaning is simple, it's something I, wish I could do a better job with. But the bottom line is, let's be fair. Let's be honest with this. This is one of those situations where you have to be able to explain why any job in the national economy can't be done by you. All right. Now, do you have any questions for me before I pop to the next person?
Yes, so I've gone to other state calls. So could they make a decision and they could go in my favor without getting a denial? I mean, how possible is that? I mean, about them approving me because they called a couple of days ago, and then went through the medical thing, and now did the work thing, and then they said they'll have an answer in a few weeks. Is that true? I mean, could they approve me, or is that possible, you think? Or?
So here's how the process works. If they're going to go ahead and approve you, then basically what they'll do is they'll send up your claim to Falls Church, Virginia, or whichever regional group is handling it in your particular area, and to see if they'll go ahead and sign off on basically what the DES rep has found and put into your file. However, if they're not going to approve you, they'll just send you right to the field office, the local field office. So either it's an approval and they go up high and then they send it back to the FO, the field office, or they send it direct to the FO, which means that you're denied. So here's the thing. At DDS level, what usually happens is you get some basic forms, your 3373, your 3369, your supplemental pain, supplemental anxiety, stuff like that. When you were filling out these forms, did they ever send you any forms about anxiety and things like that?
No.
Okay, of your impairments. Did they send you a form about your pain?
Yes, about work history, about that, and I did put down that I was depressed too.
Okay, cool. So one thing you might want to go ahead and do is reach out to that person and go ahead and say, hey, I'd like to fill out that form about anxiety. I'd like to fill out a statement about depression so that they at least have it on the file. Because right now, your entire claim is based upon basically a blood vessel issue. So that's kind of the main, yada, yada. Now, with that said, it would not be, to your disadvantage. It would be to your advantage to go and seek basically medical treatment for your mental impairments for the depression. Now, you're the type of guy that I can tell does not want to talk about emotional angst and issues that pop up in your head. You're the type of guy who just eats the emotions and marches forward. And that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have to keep in mind, I think Dr. Spock just put up a really good point. You don't hang out, work was your social life, kind of like me. So with that said, your social life, working 15 hours a week, that's how you met people. That's how you interacted with people. You were doing your job. You were making money. You were doing great. And that was all taken away from you. So when you're ready to talk to the judge or somebody, an adjudicator, about what you lost, to put it in a story, it would be advisable to talk about people that you met, people that you really connected with, and how you can no longer do that in the future, how it's been taken away from you. based upon this initial impairment. And remember, as part of the DDS MDI section, they're posting what they believe is your primary, your secondary, and then your other impairments. So it's basically your primary, your worst impairment, your secondary, your close second, and then all others that are basically relevant to your claim. And they notate whether or not they're severe or not severe, which is based upon a timeline of how long you've had them. So keep in mind, too, a severe impairment means that the impairment has lasted, will last, or will be terminal. Or has lasted 12 months, will last 12 months, or be terminal. So you've got to ask yourself, am I depressed just because these things went away that I used to have? Are my impairments due to my work and now I'm starting to get better? These are things that they're really asking.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. I mean, there's no cure for it, but they use the drugs that help you, but yeah. And that is true about when I did work, how good everything was. All the time I got so bad, talk to people and associate with people every day, and like you said, that was all taken away. I mean, it's just depressing now.
One thing that I want you to go into in detail is talking about basically those things that which you used to have to do that made you happy. And they might be odd things. They might be cleaning out, a room of a particular person that you like to talk to. It might be things that, involved particularly new cleaning products that you got to integrate into your repertoire of things that you use to clean. These are the things that make you seem humanistic, unique, and a little bit different to the judge, which is not looking for the same yada yada that they see all day long. They need something to wake them up from the bench. They need something to get them out of their kind of like, I'm here, I'm seeing another hearing, yada yada. And you're going to have to bring that aspect to them.
Exactly. Yeah, it made me feel worth something. People, interacting with people, makes you feel wanted. And now it's like you don't feel wanted anymore. Nothing I can do. I like to help people out and stuff, but I really can't do that anymore.
No, I hear you. All right. Well, good, sir. I'm going to catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful night, and we'll catch up from there.
Thank you very much. I've learned some stuff tonight. So thank you very much.
Excellent, good sir.
I'm gonna take some notes here while everything's still fresh in my head. Perfect. Of course, I can always watch this again, but I like to write things down like that too, and write things down because what was I thinking? What was this one? So
Right.
I keep track of everything. So thank you.
Absolutely, good sir. Have a wonderful night.
And I think everybody else out there.
Yeah.
Everything.
Excellent. Well, I'll catch you a little bit later. Have a wonderful night. And if you have any other questions, don't be afraid to give us a call.
Yes, sir. I will do that.
Perfect. Thank you, good sir.
Thanks again, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to talk for a second about the details relevant to that call. Okay, cool. So it's a case on over the phone hearing. Okay, cool. I'm going to call the next guy right away because Shadow's very unhappy and sitting here, and he was growling the entire time that I was on the phone, and I didn't pick him up. Let me go ahead and call this gentleman back. Here we go.
Hello.
Howdy, good sir. Attorney Walter Hnot. I'm live on YouTube, and I see you had a couple questions for me. Make sure you use a fake name, but walk me through what are the questions.
Okay. You need me to state my name?
Well, use a fake name for the purposes of this.
Yes. All right. This is James Rivers.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, good sir, walk me through give me the structure, the timeline as to what happened, where you're at now, and what are the questions relevant to it?
Okay. I first applied for SSDI back in January of 18. I was, of course, denied the first time, and then my attorney did the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
For the second time, I was denied again.
and set up for a hearing, which took a long time to get the hearing. I just had the hearing actually last Thursday, and in this time, it was actually done over the phone. It wasn't a video; it was actually a telephone conversation.
Gotcha.
And what he surmised, or what I surmised from it, it doesn't happen very often, but he actually went ahead and okayed me on the spot after he went through everything, the disability and things like that I had. And the last thing he said was he didn't understand why I didn't apply for Social Security disability in 2008 when my illness started, which I didn't. He said if you'd have filed back in 2008, you would have won. So he had no qualms about going ahead and granting my full disability back to my application date was January 4th. I think it's 2018. But he moved my onset date back to August of 17. I'm wondering, my big thing was on my back payments, what, I'm wondering, my big thing was on my back payments, what,
Okay, so in your case, we're looking at a situation where the adjudicator, the judge, wanted to approve farther back in time than your actual protective filing date. We call it PFD. So what they were looking at is, what are we going to do with your AOD, which is your alleged onset date? And the judge then amended your alleged onset date, and it sounds like, way farther back than when you initially filed. Is that correct?
About 5 months before I initially filed. That's when I actually got off of work, was August 1st of 17, but I did not apply for benefits until January.
Okay.
So he backed it up to when I stopped working.
Okay. So here's what the judge is doing. As part of Social Security disability insurance, when you calculate back pay or retroactive benefits and back pay, the first 5 months of SSDI benefits do not count. The first 5 months of SSDI benefits do not count for calculations, which means nobody gets paid any money from the first 5 months in which you file for SSDI benefits. What the judge did was he looked to your job and he picked the month after it could go either way, but he picked the month after the month you last earned, and I'll rephrase it in another way. That's how the SSA puts it. That's the month after the month you last earned above SGA. So he picked a month in which you didn't earn much, or a month that was directly after the last month you worked. So were you working in that month that he picked or she picked?
No, the month before August 1st, like I say, August 1st was my last day working. So that's when he put my onset date. But I did work every month up to that.
Okay. So how many days did you work in August again?
August 1st was it. That was my last day. That's when I wound up in the hospital.
Okay. So just to be sure, he picked the month after August.
Yes.
All right. So here's something you want to fix. You want the month that is basically the last month that you didn't work much, or the month after the month you last worked. So you should actually have your attorney request from the judge that the month be changed to that month in which you only worked 1 day, which you really didn't even work 1 day, right?
No.
Okay, cool. So that would be the month after the month in which you really worked. So what that means is that basically you want to grab that month. Now, I want to walk you through how the judge was able to go farther back than your PFD, your protective filing date. So in Social Security disability law, a lot of people don't realize that there are these things called retroactive benefits. So imagine in your head that there's a timeline, right, from left to right. On the left side of the timeline are retroactive benefits. In the middle of the timeline are back pay benefits. And on the right side of the timeline into the future are forward pay benefits. So we've got retroactive benefits, back pay benefits, forward pay benefits. Now, what are forward pay benefits? Forward pay benefits are from the month you basically, are found disabled, going forward, you get a check every month. That's forward pay benefits, right? You get a check every month, forward pay benefits, that's easy. Back pay benefits, those are the benefits you're due when you're found disabled from the moment you filed to the moment you're found disabled. So from the moment you filed to the moment you're found disabled, that's back pay. Once you're found disabled, that's forward pay. Okay?
Okay.
Before you file, up to 17 months, right? Up to 17 months before you file, you can claim a total of 17 months worth of retroactive benefits. Okay?
Okay.
Now, why is that? It's because you can claim up to a year prior plus the 5 months that don't count, which is 12 plus 5 for all of you math guys out there. So what that means is that basically the judge is tapping into retroactive benefits that are available as part of the SSDI program. Retroactive benefits aren't available for SSI. So since you're a worker, you've worked, you get to go on SSDI because you have enough cores of coverage. So he's tapping into 5, but it really should be 6 months going back in time.
Okay.
That means that he's basically getting rid of those months.
Okay. All right. So since I filed, January 4th of 2019, my more or less my back pay is going to be from January 4th till last Thursday.
Well, yeah, but keep in mind, you do not count the month you're found disabled for SSDI and SSI benefits. So for SSDI benefits, you don't count 5 months plus the month you're found disabled, total of 6. For SSI, you don't count the month that you file or the month that you're found disabled, totaling 2 months. So in your particular case, you would count basically. Now, here's the thing. In Fix-It, you'll count January and you'll count December of the prior year of 2018. But for what it stands right now, you're looking at January all the way through December 2019, plus, you were found disabled in May, plus, January, February, March, April of 2020.
Okay. So 16 months.
Right. And do you know how your attorney's fees are calculated based upon all that?
Well, he called me immediately after the hearing, and I asked him how he gets paid. And he said it automatically comes out of the back payments.
Okay.
He said if the back payments, the maximum he would get would be $6,000. If my back payments were less than $6,000, I think it was 25%. But he said the maximum he would automatically be taken out of my back payments, and the check for $6,000 would be sent to him, and the rest would be deposited into my account.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Well, no, I'm asking you, does that make sense to you? Because I can go into more detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first retained his services, I asked him about the fee, and this has been 18 months ago, and his words had not changed. He said his fee is $6,000, but that is paid by Social Security. The one thing he did bring up was, I can't remember what he called it, like fees.
Costs. Costs.
Are counted for cost of medical reports and things like that.
All right, so let me give you a little walk through how that actually works, and I'm going to explain a little bit more how attorney's fees actually work. First thing, there's 2 fees that basically happen. There's the costs associated with the law firm working on it. So when we buy your records all right, so one thing you need to know about is this. I, as a law firm, don't charge a lot of costs because I don't have a whole group of people just sitting there trying to figure out how much they're going to get out of a claimant for costs. Some attorneys charge traveling costs. Some attorneys charge meeting costs. Some attorneys charge all these things. I only charge for buying your records. Whatever they charge me is what you end up paying for your records. So that's kind of the thing. Now, you're going to find out what his costs were. Hopefully, they won't be too big, too bad. But they're usually anywhere from like $50, could be a little less, 17, 18, whatever, up to a couple of $100 to actually buy your records. Okay. So that's how that works. Costs are basically associated with whatever costs he had to put out to go ahead and win your claim. He gets to recoup those in the future from you. So once you get your benefits, you write him a check. Okay. How do... Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I was quite anal about every time I went to the doctors, I would actually wait until they were done with their summaries, and they would give me copies of everything that they were going to send the attorney. And I physically would take them to the attorneys, and they would scan them into my file. The only one that they had problems with was actually, I had an appointment the week before my hearing, and when they called for the records, they weren't going to be able to get it there in time for the hearing, and that's the one that he said was over and above his for records to get there on time. I don't know how he figured it or got them to get the records and fax them to him, but it was 16 pages from my surgeon, and he wanted to get it, but the normal 2-week turnaround for them to send it, he was pushing them on that limit. I don't know if he had them work overtime or what, but he said that the fees for that were substantially more than normal for that one deal.
For the doctor to produce the records, or for him to buy the records?
That for him to get the records, or however they send them electronically, and that was one. Since it was such a lengthy appointment, I didn't stay to get the record, and which, like I say, I usually took the records directly to his office, and he would scan them in. That's the only record that they didn't have, was that 16 pages before my hearing.
And the 16 pages were too expensive for him to buy?
It was more than the normal amount. Let's say it's $2 a page or whatever, and if he wanted them next day, it was going to be $5 a page. Which
is federally legal. They can only charge up to $1 per page. Now, here's the guys. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but I just want to point something out. Every attorney that owns a firm has a thing that they're battling with, right? They have a big war, a big battle, a big thing that they're all about. My big thing that I'm all about is fighting giant third-party providers of medical documentation, PHI, protected health information, that basically, is provided to us, attorneys, doctors, insurance agents, whatever, when we try to buy records on behalf of somebody. And what happened was Ciox, $1 million, zillion dollar, $1 billion, whatever company, went head to head with HHS, and they beat HHS. They embarrassed HHS. In fact, it was so much so to that point that basically Health and Human Services, the judge gave them an opportunity that they would never give to somebody like me to just go back, rebrief things, and figure out what the heck their actual position was on it, which was not good for HHS. It looks bad, all those things. But the bottom line is HHS wanted to do this incredibly admirable thing, which was to make it so that attorneys, third parties, people buying records on behalf of other people, could go ahead and buy records at what's called the patient rate, as opposed to the third-party rate. The patient rate is like, a super cheap rate. It's like $6.50 for 500 pages. It's super cheap. Yeah, it's super cheap. As opposed to the patient or the third-party rate, which is $1 per page, which is then $500 plus $25 shipping plus $5 to $15 of handling and tax on top of that. Now we're at $550 for 500 pages. Either way, good sir, there is no way, and I hate doing this because it makes somebody look bad, but there is no way at all that 16 pages were $5 a page or were too costly. Now, it could have been one of those deals where they were charging him a fee on top of it, like $50 to get them prepped, but that's like pick it up the next day stuff. And if he was 2 weeks out, why would he have to pick it up the next day? He could just pick it up later down the line. So there's an issue there. Whatever, you were found disabled, it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is that's something happened there. Okay. Next thing.
That was, was actually, my hearing was on Thursday, and I went to the doctor, the surgeon, the Friday before. And, of course, the weekend happened. He asks for the record, and he couldn't get it in time for the hearing.
Okay, gotcha.
Without doing this processing, whatever processing he had to do to get the record.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
okay.
I mean, I'm not concerned over however much it costs for the 16 pages because he is an excellent attorney. He did get my case to a hearing, but the telephone hearing was just amazing. When the judge came, he explained, I'm at home. I have children. And right about when he said that, one of them ran in the room.
Right.
So he had to put it on pause. So he took care of his child, and he came back and apologized. On the line, the vocational expert and the court reporter, my attorney, and the judge and myself.
Gotcha.
So it was quite different, but during the times they got everything shut down.
Gotcha.
But that was my main question about how far back they go.
Okay.
And I knew about the 5 months was cut off, but in the reading and things that I have looked into, I thought they only did back pay for 12 months.
No. Back pay is based on the moment you file until you're found disabled. For SSDI, you don't count the first 5 months, and the month you're found disabled. For SSI, you don't count the first month or the last month in which you're found disabled.
Okay. One other question. I know I've taken up a lot of your time.
Yeah, go for it. You're good.
When he said that he would be looking for my letter in the mail, my approval letter, since he moved my onset or alleged onset date back to August of 17, will that appear on that letter?
Yes.
My disability began on the 17th August 1st.
So here's how it works. There's 3 flavors of letters that you receive. Unfavorable, which you won't get. Partially favorable, which means they're moving your alleged onset date. And fully favorable, which means they're using the alleged onset date that you chose. Partially favorable is what you're likely to get. And here's the thing. Your judge or your attorney can go ahead and submit to the judge ahead of time or after the hearing that you, and there's a couple of things that have to be in it, that you, the claimant, have agreed to change the alleged onset date to that date, even though you should change it to the month in which you only have 1 day of work in which it wasn't even work, and that you fully understand the ramifications of that change or that choice. So if it has the ramification clause and also has that you want that change, then he can just submit that, and then the judge will do what's considered a fully favorable. Now, with that said, tomorrow, call your attorney and say, hey, a little birdie tweeted in my ear that since I only worked 1 day that month, I could potentially get it back 1 more month to be able to get another month of back pay, which your attorney will be like, yeah, super cool idea, because this is how your attorney gets paid. The attorney gets paid from each month that you get paid for waiting to be found disabled, in which case you were actually found disabled. Your attorney gets 25% of each one of those months, up to $6K. Now, let's say that you got a denial at the ALJ hearing and had to go to appeals counsel. At appeals counsel, it's similar, but there's no $6K limitation. So it's just 25% of whatever months were there that you had to wait. Okay. So basically, keeping it simple, let's go back to this whole 25% gig. So attorneys traditionally make 33%, or if they have to take it to a hearing, they make 40%. In disability law, it's only 25% by statute, which means that he can make 25% of each one of those months up to $6,000. And the SSA holds onto those funds from your back pay benefits, and then he pays a fee to them, usually around $90, and that $90 is the disbursement fee for basically the SSA at the local field office or payment facility to go ahead and disperse the funds to your attorney. So he'll realistically make like $5,910 or whatever instead of the full $6,000. And then here's the best part: the government, and I don't know how the hell they screwed this up. Makes us, the attorneys, pay the full $6,000 amount, even though we don't get paid, or we don't receive like $90 of that $6,000. We still got to pay taxes on it. I don't know why that is. I don't know. I have to fix that at some point. One of these days, I'm going to fix that. But we're paying for money we never even received. So,
No, that's not right. In anybody's eyes, I don't see who would think that would be right.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like eBay, which they take 80%. No, I don't even know what eBay takes, but all right. So good, sir. Do you have any other questions for me before I take on one more call?
Okay, I'll let you take the guy. I did have another question, but I don't know if you would be able to answer it or not. But the reason I'm asking, if a job I had short-term disability, I do not, which I got paid 50%. I do not have to pay that back. I've already talked to the company. My question, or the reason I wanted to know if it went back to August, the only thing that I have to pay my long-term disability, I started drawing long-term disability in June of 19. And they said anything after that is dated after June, I would have to pay back my long-term disability. So if my disability actually states that it started in August, I would only owe my long-term disability back pay a month or two.
Well, then you run into the question of, did you actually receive funds for that month? And you're going to have to see what your final letter states, because remember, you have to pay back those months of LTD in which you receive Social Security disability benefits, because it's an offset procedure. So STD works a little bit differently than LTD. LTD, it's one of those situations where you're going to have to owe them back. You're going to have to pay them back if you're receiving disability benefits. That's why those LTD carriers will keep calling you saying, hey, where are you at with the disability process? What's happened? Yada, yada, yada. So a lot of your back pay is going to get sucked up into paying back the LTD claim. For sure. Yes, correct.
Now, if it works out that it does start in the letter states December, I don't have to pay the long term back for January, February, March, April, May, and June, because I wasn't receiving long term at that point. In July is when I started my long term disability pay.
Yes, you're looking for overlapping months. That's basically it. Overlapping months where you actually did receive payments. Because, the whole thing is LTD carriers are expecting to receive payments for those months in which you're receiving an alternative form of disability insurance payments to you. So in this case, they'd be looking at every month that you actually received payments. And what they're going to get from you is the letter, that's your accounting letter that goes through, okay, for these months we paid you this amount, for these months we paid you this amount, yada, yada, yada. They're going to get from you that and then expect to be repaid for those months in which you were paid. SSDI.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, that I knew, but I'm glad you clarified it.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I thank you very much. I do watch your channel. I really enjoy your hearings. And some people on there get it and some people don't.
Very true.
And that's why I enjoy watching it. But you've been a great help. I've watched all 51 of your trick questions. Excuse me. You had videos of 50 and then you added the one in.
Yes.
And of the 51 questions, I was asked 7 of them.
Oh, wow. Good. Geez. 7 trick questions. Oh, my goodness. You had a judge, didn't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was at home. He didn't have nothing better to do.
Yeah, that's,
I watched your all 51 videos the day before. I watched them as you were putting them out, which seemed like two days. You look very tired. But I watched it the day before the hearing, and I remember 7 different questions that he asked that you told me the answer to.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm so glad because, you know, I do these things, and this whole thing started way back in the day. I did these types of things at libraries. I did them at homeless help feeding events, and I was, you know, explaining to people how this stuff worked, and it wasn't really doing anything, going to a larger population. Not that my channel is really that big, but, and I'm just really glad that's helping people. So real quick, what state are you in?
Kentucky. That's
so cool. That's so cool. Because, you know, think about it. I'm in Florida. We get all kinds of people calling, and I will say this though, it is interesting. I helped somebody from Guam the other day. A year ago, I helped somebody get through a tricky Puerto Rico versus Virgin Islands law issue pertaining to disability benefits because of the intertwining of national law and international law. So it's just been a really cool experience. But I'm so happy that those videos were helpful. A video that I'm going to be one reasons or things that you need to know as somebody who's going to be going boating for the first time. And the reason for this is that when I started boating, I bought basically a really fast jet boat, which I ran into a concrete wall and then had to pay a kid to delete the video from his phone so it wouldn't end up on YouTube. So yeah. And I mean, I've made every mistake. Like when I took that thing out for the first time, it was sinking. I didn't have a line, which is a rope to tie it off to the cleat on the dock. So I did everything wrong. But basically, yeah, good sir. Well, I'm glad this helped you.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, good sir. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So I just want to take a really quick moment to say somebody's really amazing and really incredibly cool, and that is Cheyenne. Cheyenne makes these masks, and she just donated or paid, I'm not really sure how it works, what the correct terminology is, $2, which is incredible. So I'm really, this is amazing. I don't even know what happens with these funds other than I think she said it goes to some sort of like, you know, it's the same area as like the AdSense revenue or whatever. That's amazing. That's so cool. I'm really, 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 really impressed that, and Shadow's bitching at me. I'm really happy that you guys have donated because this is too cool for me. I never thought anybody would donate to a YouTube channel that I had. And I'm just really happy that these videos are helping you guys however they can. And that you guys put up with my dog barking at me through the entire thing. So that's just incredible. Yes. All right. So here's the deal. Let me explain the ice cream thing because she's getting a little bit fancy pants with her pants there. I like vanilla ice cream. I'm willing to eat other ice creams, but there are fine vanilla ice cream. The bean ice creams, the extra creamy ice creams, the vanillas that are really, really good. I like those. I don't like super hardcore all over the place ice creams. I'll have a Rocky Road, sure, but I'm not going to go into like the full on, like, you know, they made up a title that involved mutant in it. I might go out and do the Bahama Mama ice cream, but I will not do, you know, some of the, you know, crazy, because I'll try it, but I like vanilla. That's my favorite ice cream. Anyways, so let me go ahead and grab my dog real quick before he barks his little head off. Come here. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing. There were questions, and we're running out of time to do another phone call because there's only 9 minutes. So I'm going to scroll up to check out the questions, and Shadow's going to try and behave momentarily. Is there an average figure that your SSDI benefits reach where you can't have Medicaid anymore with Medicare? Okay, so first of all, SSDI benefits are set up to, after 24 months, receive Medicare. Medicaid is more of that poverty-based program that in most states nowadays, you get to go ahead and automatically have once you get onto the SSI. So is there just an average figure that your SSDI benefits reach where you can't have Medicaid anymore with Medicare? So you're pretty much just going to have Medicare for the most point. Because a lot of you guys have waited at least 2 years to be found disabled. So then they put you onto it. If you can't go on that, then you can seek an application for Medicaid that will, get you through those 2 years before you can get the Medicare. Or you can go on to basically a low-cost government-based, healthcare.org based medical insurance to get you through that time before you get your full Medicare instatement. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the next one. Let's see. Can I go to the gym while on disability from OHRL1? I want to get better, but scared of going to the gym and get dropped from my disability. All right, so let's talk about that. What is your disabling condition? If your disabling condition is something that requires you to be able to go through therapy, like physical therapy, then that's a good thing. That's something where, essentially you're going to partake in something that the judges would commend because it's part of the medical procedure. And then you'd have to report to some sort of physical therapist as to what, your actions were, what was happening. But remember, if you improve too much from doing these actions, then you're no longer disabled and they expect you to get out of the gym and go to get a job. So just keep in mind, there's double side of that sword. All right. So, okay. Just reading through what this stuff is. Any additional questions? Let's see. Let's see. Let the cars know to turn down their volumes on their phones. Oh yeah, good point. So I guess with a lot of these guys, they have the computer on. They're watching it at the same time. So yeah, Tito, you're right. We've got to go ahead and get them to turn off their computer volume and then just have the phone volume. Otherwise, it's that whole repeating yada yada. I'm just going to see if there's any other questions in here that I can go ahead and answer relatively quickly. Let's see. I'm like Walter's dog right now. Cool. Give me 5 stars from my tech support troubleshooting. Cool. I'll contact the Better Business Bureau. It's a rough life being a monster monkey. Lol. Okay, I don't know what that means. And so, guys, I just want to tell you, and Cheyenne will tell you, I am not somebody who's good at scrolling up. I will receive 1,000 texts from somebody like Cheyenne, and then have to figure out where the smallest sentence is, and then read that one, and then claim I've read the whole thing. And that's the procedure I use for text messages, which this is extremely like. How long does reconsideration take? That's straightforward. So reconsideration takes usually with an attorney around 3 to 4 months. It can take longer, especially due to this COVID thing, if they can't send you to a consultative examination doctor. So think like 6 to 8 months max. If there's a problem, think like 9 to 12 months. But if it's smooth sailing, all the forms are done ahead of time, your attorney's trying to push this puppy through, think like 3 to 4 months. That's basically how it goes. We just got another thingy. I don't even know what they're called. Donation from OHRL1, $4.99. The condition, it's atomic dysfunction, diabetes related, going to the gym question. Oh, okay, cool. Well, okay. Remember, diabetes related, you've got to be careful, especially. So let me ask you this. When it comes to, for example, your particular impairment, are you controlling it with your medication? Is this something that you can control? Because, there's forms of diabetes where they can't control it. There's super chat donation. Thank you. Now I know what it's called. That sounds so like super chat, donation. Yeah, but I don't know where I was going with that. A little bit anime. But so walk me through this. When it comes to your particular impairment, are you able to control a lot of the functions with medication? Do you have symptoms from your medications? Do you have side effects from your medication? Also, some days are controlled, some not on insulin pump. Okay, cool. So you're kind of like most diabetics that are having trouble with it. So with that said, when you go to work out, are you able to, for the most part, control what happens with your sugar, what happens with your body, what happens with your energy? Are you able to use fluids properly? Are these the things that are within control? And then there's another question of this. When going to the gym, is this something where you're only doing certain things that are prescribed by the doctor to be done? Like, has a therapist signed off on you to do these things? Do you have a little diary or a little checklist or a little whatever that you're filling out each time you go to express what you've been doing? Was this medically approved? Is this some sort of evidence that you submit to the doctor for them to go ahead and create objective evidence? Consider those types of things, because that's what's going to, and remember too, the SSA does sometimes investigate people. So unless you have a true reason to be going to the facility, which for, you could claim for that type of impairment that you're trying, to improve things. So that's not really outside of the realm of an impairment that, if we were like, hey, I have slip discs in my back, and it was just obvious that lifting weights would only make it worse, then in that case, going to the gym would be a problem because it would show that the person's not truly impaired. Okay, so let's talk about that. You've got a nerve issue. You've got a diabetes sugar-based issue. So I only lift weights and doctors encourage me to build muscle for my condition. If I get better, I go back to work. Cool. Awesome. But here's the thing. Are you likely to stay better if you continue to go to the gym? When you go to the gym, are you only doing certain exercises that have been blessed by a physician? And remember, different things, different programs, like, some medical examinations will involve you getting on a treadmill. Some medical examinations will involve you doing certain movements. And, they want to see how far you can move your arm, degrees of variation. They want to see all these different things. Are these things that your doctor has approved? If they're not things that your doctor has approved, then I would be a little bit worried for two reasons. A, the SSA is unlikely to find out that you're going to the gym unless you post something on Facebook, right? Or they have some access to a card that you purchased as part of their program to be able to go to that gym. So that's number one. Neuropathy-based issues when it comes to, just nerve-based issues, the science behind it is good, but there's not perfect definitive science on a lot of these nerve problems. So you got to be careful because you don't know if you're lifting something that could be maneuvering something in your body that would pinch more nerves and make more problems. Could be a problem. So just watch out for that. And then the other thing too is that, it's kind of like, it's somebody like going to a chiropractor. Is a chiropractor telling you to do this? Is some sort of other doctor telling you to do this? If a chiropractor is telling you to do this, the judge is going to look at it kind of like a nurse is telling you to do this. It's just not, they don't consider it at the same level as, for example, somebody in their particular specialty doctors. That's what people used to refer to them as in the legal field, but more of like advanced registered nurse practitioner or nurse practitioner level. Okay. Tell me about, Leo, I'm trying to find, yeah, sorry about the delay. It's because of the storm and I don't have this thing hooked directly into the internet. How long does it, okay, we already did that. Could they spine a person trying to get disability? Yeah, they spine people all the time. I've had the Department of Defense actually call me in an attempt to scare me to not take a claimant on. But then when they went through the evidence they had, I was like, whoo, oh, buddy. Oh, goodness. Some days of control, Is that one? Yes, and they will search you on social media. Yeah, here's another thing, guys. DDS will search you. The clerks before the hearing might search you and then update the judge on things. They search you. There's like do a poll in the chats and see where everyone is viewing from. Chat what state you are from. Cool, Tennessee. I like Tennessee. How much can you make on SSDI to still get Medicaid along with Medicare around about figure? I realize everyone has different house/rent payments on average. Still get Medicaid along with Medicare. All right. So first of all, Medicaid is something that you have to, and it differs in different states. So wait, Nikki, what state are you in? Twin Cities, Minnesota. Okay. That's going to kill me. God, I'd have to read what the Medicaid program is specifically in that state and how they're applying it, because Medicaid is one of those things where it's a federal program, but the state kind of handles a lot of it. So I'd have to read specifically for Minnesota, Duluth, like the brand, Minnesota. So we got two minis in this hearing, in this little chat thing. So I'd have to read specifically what the state is doing with the program. But the bottom line is you can't be earning over per month SGA, as Cheyenne just put, which I think is $1,260, but just think of it as around $1,300. If you do that, you're not eligible for any disability benefits. And I don't know if Minnesota, and do a Google search, is one of those states that automatically gives you Medicaid if you're on SSI. It might be. The next thing is Medicare. Medicare is one of those things that you get if you go into SSDI, which is a better program that offers more options for surgeries and offers more options for basically better medical treatment. Around about how much can you make on SSDI? All right, look, if you want to make money, Nikki, what you're going to do is you've got 9 months once you're found disabled. That's just trial work period where you can make and keep your disability benefits at the same time. Once you finish those 9 months, you're going to go on a ticket to work program for 5 years. That'll allow you to keep your money. But then at the end of those 5 years, they're going to go ahead and take away your disability benefits and expect you to work. So, and remember, the first $85 a month you earn, it doesn't count. So you can always earn $85 a month, but I'm guessing you want to earn more than that because that's what people are usually asking. Does the SSA look at what you spent disability on? I am from New York City. They only do that if they're basically finding that you are spending it on things you should not be spending it on. Things include the following: cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana if you don't have a card, narcotics, trips to beautiful places that I'd love to go to one day. No, I'm just kidding. They don't care about that. So what that means, just don't post pictures of you on Facebook with it or tweet it on Twitter. I think it's tweet. I'm pretty sure it's Twitter or you tweet or something, whatever it is. I think I heard the radio talk about it. I don't do that stuff because I think it's amazing. So do they look at what you spend? Do you have a payee? That's the first question I would have. If you have a payee, they do an accounting and they require the payee to do an accounting of what you spend, how they deliver the funds to you, what you're getting. If you don't have a payee, then it's basically they're not looking at what you're spending the money on unless there's a problem with, blah, blah, blah. Then the SSA would be a little cranky about the U.S. Treasury delivering money that's used for purchasing drugs, which happens all the time. I'm not going to lie about it. I know quite a few people who use their disability benefits to buy drugs. Not a wonderful thing, but it is. Okay, cool. I think I'll lose my PCA. All right, Nikki. So here's the deal. Call me tomorrow, or no, send me an email because tomorrow's going to be murder. Everybody on Fridays likes to call in. So send me an email with like a full detail list as to what you're wondering about Medicaid, Medicare, how much, all that stuff. And then once I grab it later Friday night, because I know you'll be doing stuff, but I won't. Later on Friday night, I'll go ahead and send you a response or give you a call or bug you somehow. Where do you go after you have a confirmation number for status? Do I have to create an online account or can I see the case status with the confirmation number? So you mean the confirmation number when you apply or when you appeal? Because they're two different things. If it's when you apply, they have an online account where you can just log in. It's pretty simple. There's a link there where you can see your SSA account. Yeah, so basically the way it works is for status, so I have to create an online account. It's not really you creating it. You're not coding an online account. You're just signing into an account that's made for you. So they already have what's called CMS, Client Management System. And that CMS will basically have an update status where it will show you specifically where you're at with the stages. This is good and it's also bad. It creates a crap load of anxiety for you guys when you're constantly looking at that going, did they get my forms? Are they looking at it? Did they make a decision? They made a decision, but I didn't get it yet in the mail. It creates a lot of that, yada, yada. Also, if they do give you a decision through the program, it's one of those things where if it's bad, you guys are just demoralized. As opposed to the letter, it's just not as bad for you guys. I don't know why receiving in the mail isn't as bad, but that's just kind of the way it works. Okay, so yeah, it's just part of the same, once you apply, you can go do your myssa.gov or whatever the heck it is. I don't know what it is because I don't use that system. I use the EREE folder, which is for appointed representatives. But just do a quick Google search. It'll be out there. Okay. Any other I probably missed some questions. I'm sorry. It is 10:06, which means I get to actually go from here to write a brief. Yay. But, and that's the thing too. Like I made a little sticky with all the briefs I have to write, and I got to like 32 briefs that I've got to do. And I was just like, this is depressing. This is like, oh, my dog is yelling at me. Guys, I have to go take Shadow for a walk or otherwise he will divorce me. And that's terrible. You have a wonderful night. I will catch up with you later. And please don't forget to thank Cheyenne for taking the time to go ahead and figure out everybody's tech support problems, including mine. All right. I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful day. And that's Shadow. All right. Bye-bye. All right, Shadow. Yeah, I know. Okay.